We're going to lead off with Shane Eels, and Shane is the Assets and Works Capability Manager with Horizon Power in Western Australia. Shane's had 36 years experience in the industry. He's been a linesman, a high voltage linesman, works practice coordinator and manager of workforce capabilities. Shane is a guy who's really committed to driving and supporting change processes that create a safer working environment for Horizon Power employees and the electricity industry in general. Would you make him welcome, Shane Eels?
Welcome all. Pull these down. Firstly, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners, past, present and future, of the land in which you meet today. I don't need to introduce myself. Phil's done a great job of that. 36 years in the business as an assistant linesman back in 1976 in the country town of Northam. Not quite a remote town. And I'd also like to acknowledge Michael Case and Shane O'Byrne for their assistance with our Aboriginal communities training program. The presentation today is really about Horizon Power's journey from 2006 through to Horizon currently piloting a new Cert 3 qualification. A little bit of background with our service area. I believe Horizon Power has the second biggest coverage area in the world. Approximately 2.3 million square kilometres, and if you put that, and we've probably got 40 to 45,000 customers. Put that into perspective, Ausgrid, for those Ausgrid people here, I think you've got roughly 25,000 square kilometres, and you may have, what, 2 million customers. Puts it into perspective. Geographically challenged Ausgrid? I wouldn't think so. 36 power systems, 430 staff, not anymore, over 700. 6 regional depots, and hopefully my little pointer might work. You got Esperance down in the south, Carnarvon in the midwest, Karratha, Port Hedland in the Pilbara, Broome in the West Kimberley, Kununurra, East Kimberley, and there's around about 287 Aboriginal communities, remote communities in WA, ranging from 50 people living there up to, I think 1,000 at Bidgidanga or just above. There's around 40 town-based Aboriginal communities as well, and we have 15 of the bigger remote communities that are 200 and above, which under the when the government split up Western Power in 2006, the given projects, and I think it may have started just before that, it's what they call the ARC PSP project, the Aboriginal Remote, there's another acronym for you, Phil. Aboriginal Remote Community Power Supply project was all about regularising the networks, rebuild the networks, replace the generation, hand it across, some may say gifted across to Horizon Power to operate and maintain. And the other component to our service area is that Horizon Power is vertically integrated, so we control everything from the generator right through to the customer at the point of supply at the meter. And just some of the distances that we may have to travel, we like places like Clumbaroo, we're looking at 9 hours if you're driving, 600 kilometres. We have to charter flights to get in there. If you're travelling to Jared and Lombardina up on the peninsula, it's only probably 180, 200 kilometres. And for Bob, Bernard, John Ingram, who we took up there. They know what the road's like. So that's our coverage area for Horizon. Probably Ergon's coverage area is probably a little bit similar to Horizon Power. The Aboriginal Communities Training Program had a number of key objectives, and it came about in, as I said, late 2006, probably 3 or 4 months after Horizon was established. I was asked to come up with a strategy on how we could operate and maintain. And under the Aboriginal Communities Training Program, the strategy I put together, we needed to support the ARC PSP project in creating safe and reliable power supplies. We talk about safe because it takes hours, if not days, for someone there to go and rectify a power fault. It was to develop a training framework that really equipped the local Aboriginal people with the skills and knowledge to undertake the tasks that we required to operate and maintain that electrical network. And third key component was to develop a career pathway that would enable our full-time Indigenous employees or Aboriginal employees to integrate into the mainstream workforce in the electricity supply industry. The Aboriginal Communities Training Program is all about quality, not quantity. We have had some people ask, why don't you split up the tasks and give 5 people, 2-3 hours a week work? They've all got a job. Means nothing. As I said, this program's all about quality. I'm going to go through our timelines. So in July 2006, I created and delivered to the Managing Director and the GM the Aboriginal Communities Training Strategy, and it was based on what Horizon required at the time. So it's enterprised. We identified 39 capabilities to meet our objectives. In April 2007, we developed a recruitment program, but just prior to that recruitment, and it's absolutely critical, it's an absolute critical component, we engaged the elders, chairpersons and CEOs of the communities and explained the objectives. And now what they did to help us, they actually helped us when we advertised in the community. They helped us select the individuals for interviews. So if we had 10 people nominate, they would help us pick the best or the most suitable candidate for the position, and then Horizon would take over from that point and follow normal interview protocol and we would appoint the individual as a full-time employee. The enterprise-based training program was based around 4 6-month blocks with the skill sets. We spent a lot of time on numeracy, literacy and work ethics assessments. We had them specifically developed for the program. And I'd like to acknowledge Dr. Cecilia Nedelicki, who helped us put that together. And the program, at the end of it, or as they progressed through it, they would receive statements of attainment, certificates of attendance, and what we were trying to do then was provide an opportunity to see if they could progress into a Cert 3 distribution apprenticeship. One part of the strategy was also to see if we could establish a framework to develop the qual as we see it today. So we, December we started the recruitment process in 2007, and in March 2008 we commenced the training program, and at that point in time we called them essential services officers because we were hoping to pick up some additional work in the water and grey water, potable and grey water area. The more meaningful work we could get, the more Aboriginal people we can employ on the remote community. And we're still working towards that today. In August 2009, we reviewed Horizon Power's training and updated it to align to the generation and the standard units for generation, because the generation component to the qualification is the core. Every remote community has a generation set. That's where it starts from. Make that your core. Give the network operators, well, for what Horizon wanted at the time, we could select either overhead underground or a combination of both. But this program with the electives gives the other network operators around Australia the opportunity to select the electives they require to meet their outcomes. And I think that's critical. They need to identify what they require in the operate and maintain area on their communities. In September 2009, we commenced the development of Horizon Power's framework to put forward to WEOZ, and Michael Case developed that framework, and we then presented that at the 2009 WEOZ annual conference in Adelaide. And the presentation was really about seeking endorsement from new people. Is it worthwhile pursuing? And it was overwhelmingly supported. In October 2009 also, we received the Western Australia Premier's Award for local government, improving local government, and the Innovation Award for the program. In November 2009, we established a national working group to review our draft and to progress it further. We had members from WEOZ, CPU, ETU, Horizon Power, Power and Water from NT, and ETSA, Electricity Trust of South Australia. They were on the working group to develop the framework further. In May 2010, we took some board members to the remote communities, and from that visit we had a in-principle agreement was negotiated for the development of the new qual. And as I said, we had Bob Taylor, John Ingram, Michael Case, Joe Fiala, and Bernard. And very enjoyable trip. I think it opened their eyes to what a remote community is. In 2010, in October 2010, we once again attended the conference, and we received approval for the first qualification for remote communities. In November 2010, our Indigenous Training Coordinator, our District Business Managers and Works Delivery Coordinators then chose the elective units that would meet Horizon Power's needs. And in mapping the qualification, we also, part of the process was to map the difference with pathways of other quals. So we looked at what we wanted for the RCW qualification and the difference between electrician, cable jointer, distribution lineman, transmission lineman. And we also included the Cert 2 quals for remote area essential services and remote area power supply maintenance quals. If my memory serves me correctly, I think there's 29 units in the RCW qual. I think there's only 8 of those that come out of those 2 remote area qualifications. And I think there's 9 units that don't sit anywhere other than with the RCW, and the rest are either core or electives from the other UET quals. In March 2011, we awarded a tender, put out tender to an RTO to deliver that training, and as Energy Skills Solutions Western Australia have been awarded that, that contract. And then in May of 2011, WAUS issued a formal briefing to Horizon Power. The Oz board and industry stakeholders defined the applicability of the new qualification to ensure that the ESI could be confident in the suitability of the qual, and the board has specified the requirement for a pilot project to be conducted by Horizon as the main proponent of the qual and its nominated RTO to implement the qualification within HP's service area. And in August 2011, we commenced the program, and I'll show you how we're progressing as I go through the slides. And we had 7 communities, and 2 of the 7 RCUWs have now moved into the Cert 3 distribution apprentice at Kununurra and at Wyndham, working out of the Kununurra depot. The scope, so the scope required, the qualification will be required the skills knowledge needed for a career in inspecting, maintaining essential public utilities, excluding mine sites within very remote communities. All work is done in a non-energised or dead environment. Okay, so they switch the network off, test short or earth, and then carry out their activities, including for the connection of services. And of course they use support plant and equipment to undertake the tasks required as part of those that job function. We defined very remote communities, and if you intend to use the qual, you'll need to go into the Remoteness Index of Australia, type in your community. If it comes up as very remote, you will meet the definitions and what we called the ring fence of the qualification. And of course we defined in there what non-energised dead means to this qualification. I'll just take you back just to have a look there if you just wanted to read that, that very remote communities definition. It was one of the key components from the CPU, ETU at the time. We didn't want network operator in a mainstream town picking up the qual and substituting it for a distribution apprenticeship. Typical, so become UET 30912, Cert 3 ESI Remote Community Utilities Worker. Typical functions. You're looking at installation, maintenance, inspection of poles, structures, associated hardware, installation and maintenance of kilowatt-hour meters, conductors, cables and public lighting, general routine maintenance of known type of generator units, low voltage switching, vegetation control, use of support plant and equipment to undertake these tasks, and of course environmental heritage and native title concerns also play part in this function. Typical work environments are remote, indoors, outdoor, extreme weathers, at heights and at generation sites. Other additional functions that have been included in the qual are LV cable jointing and testing tagging 240 volt electrical appliances. We thought we could offer that, get them that unit and they can Horizon can provide a free service to the community in testing and tagging electric equipment. Now, I'm not too sure whether you're going to quite see, this is the framework that we put together. The green box down the bottom, there were so many units, we finished up with about 1,400 points, which was way above what you required for the coal. So we decided to take some of those dogging, EWP, vehicle loading crane, 4x4 drive and recover, test and tag, traffic management, computer systems. We created them as enterprise as part of the work, and they've been awarded those at this point in time. The electives were A and B, A being imported from the outside, and B being HP and WI's TR suite and just contextualised to suit. So that's the framework. The yellow boxes are the units that the Horizon District business managers and the works delivery coordinators had selected to meet the requirements of the qualification for our coverage area in the Kimberleys. The current status, as I said before, we have 5 apprentice RCWs. I call them apprentice because hopefully we'll get it registered. They are trainees at the moment. We hopefully get it recognised in Western Australia as an apprenticeship. All have completed we did RPL and RCC. We have a motor mechanic. We have an electrician, a young Aboriginal boy who left Warman, went to Broome and worked for the Water Corp, and completed his 4 years as an apprentice electrician, qualified, went back to the community. At this point in time, we're still searching for an RCW or ESO at the time at the community, and Karen applied. It's been a wonderful asset in assisting with the training because you'd already been through a program. We're commencing stage 7 off the job of 11-stage program, and at the end of stage 7, they'll be working towards the composite units in the following: comply with occupational health and safety requirements, working safely near power lines, attend emergency situations, drive enterprise vehicles and plant, install and maintain overhead poles, structures and conductors cables, install and maintain energy meters and associated equipment, conduct in-service testing electrical cords, interpret community drawings and diagrams and maps for the switching, working safely in and around remote generation sites, install and maintain remote community LV services underground and overhead, install the local lighting and remote community LV switching. It is, at this point in time, it's scheduled that we'll complete the off-the-job component by February-March 2014, and it's envisaged that we would complete all the practical on the job by probably 12 months later, February-March 2015, with all things being equal. You can imagine we've got some challenges, and I'll just put them up on the next slide, especially geographical, to be able to get them to undertake the profiling of their apprenticeship. And the 2 RCWs that moved into the distribution Cert 3 apprenticeship, they will complete the generation units as part of their program, and they will be used in a rotational process when we take the RCW off a remote community. Paul and Josh will go out to those communities and sit in there while the RCW is in training. It's about 960 to 970 hours of off the job built into this, about 130 days at this point in time, and about 6,850 thereabouts for on the job. Around about 3 years, 915 days on the site, on the job. But remember, this is a pilot program, and it will, when we finish the pilot program, we'll see what needs tweaking, if anything. We'll tweak it, then we'll offer it to others, and this will just be ongoing. It'll just keep evolving. This is our stage footprint. I'm not too sure how much you can read, but if anybody that wants a copy, we're quite happy to supply a copy. By early 2013, the competencies, as I read out before, will be the ones we currently have that be achieved. The OSH regs, working safely near power lines, licence to form dogging and forklift they already have, fabricate and dismantle assemble electro-technology components, licence to operate EWP, fix and secure electro-technology equipment, document and apply measures to control risks associated with our work, solve problems in extra low voltage, test and tag, apply sustainable energy units and environmental procedures, operate plant and equipment near live, and maintain safety and tiredness in a remote area power supply. Operate and maintain near live is while they're going up to isolate the network or to cut vegetation within that environment where they're not actually working on the network but working near. Benefits: provides the maintenance capability that ensures remote Aboriginal communities are supplied with a safe and reliable power supply. Avoids long delays waiting for linesmen to get out there, or the contractors working for the government agencies such as the Department of Housing or Housing and Works. And I do have a story with the contractor where on the grey water side, out at one of the very remote communities, and the contractor looking after it's probably 1,000 k's away, and the grey water pipe broke and was leaching into the water supplies for 8 weeks. So having someone on the ground is imperative to make sure that, for water, and it's safe for the water, but especially for the electricity supply. Especially if you have a conductor on the ground, you need someone there to be able to isolate and make safe to prevent someone from getting seriously hurt if not killed. It provides a connection between the community and Horizon Power and a sense of ownership for the community. It provides Aboriginal people with a remote community employment opportunity and a career path. It builds self-esteem and creates a sense of worth. They become role models. And I'm not too sure who it was last night, whether it was Joe. I think it might have been Joe from Western Australia, CPU, who took up the peninsula. And apologies if I get the wrong person there. But he mentioned to the group that they were with, as soon as the boys come out in their high-vis clothing, they were swamped by the school kids who wanted to be like Uncle Joe. And of course it creates intergenerational value by providing social, economic, educational, environmental benefits. Challenges and lessons. There's a challenge was a shift from an outsourcing to an internal resource, a new approach, designing a qualification for remote communities. Recruitment was an unknown skill set, which has been talked about over the last couple of days. Developing an assessment framework, which included numeracy, literacy, and we do practical assessments as well, no different to what we do with distribution line workers. We don't have full-time work, and how to use this role efficiently and effectively. And from Horizon's perspective, we offer them back to the community to work in the community free of charge. Looking for other opportunities for more meaningful work. We sort of talked about water and wastewater, and the generation is now in. We're building the new sites at Columbaroo and Nookumbar. Hopefully negotiate with the IPPs on the Dampier Peninsula to provide their maintenance requirements. The more meaningful work we get means we can employ more RCWs. Finding an RTO to develop and deliver our ACT program, and I failed to mention at the start, if it wasn't for Conor Wagner, we probably wouldn't be in the position we're here today. Developing and delivering the qualification, the courseware development, setting schedules on and off the job, geographically, massive challenge. Especially the off the job component, where we've got to fly charter flights to get them into a mainstream district for us to undertake that off the job component, and we actually fly them around to do on the job as well. Got them all together to do some work on a remote community, to pull some structures down, flew them all across to Wyndham to assist with rectifying all the, another acronym, P&IDs, piping and instrument drawings for the Wyndham generation site, number all the isolation points and tag them and so on and bring it up to standard. So that we are aware it is a challenge, and we've got some serious challenges ahead with distance, but let's work on the positives, and it'll come through. Just a lot of hard work. Mentoring, support, critical, and it's interesting, mentoring was spoken about today, and I believe Horizon Power's trying to set up a number of mentors to go around to assist with all the training of all Indigenous, whether it be business admin, which we have, through to the operational requirements. Creating a career path, well, I think we might have done that now, hopefully. Developing new work practices to suit the tasks required. We talked about geographical access and consultation with the community for office space. We need the Indigenous RCWs, the employees, to have somewhere where they can have a computer they can log on. We're looking at e-learning, we're looking at video streaming to assist with faults. There's a whole range, and since we started looking at video streaming, the technology has changed fivefold. Every time we turn a corner or go back to see someone, I say, oh, don't worry about that, that's gone, that's old hat. So, out of all the challenges, I think the most critical that we all need to take note is the consultation with the community. Get their buy-in. Be patient. There's no magic. And believe. Work with the positives. Now in the future, we're currently, as I said, we're delivering the pilot program on behalf of WOZ. We're conducting on-the-job project work for the RCW to reinforce the training. We're looking at seeking further opportunities to participate in the regularisation of the remote communities. So if a community's got to be, the overhead's got to be taken down, the underground put in, let them build it, give them the real work. And of course explore opportunities with the power and water and even telco sectors. It's not, the opportunities within the communities become self-sufficient. It's not just with the electricity industry. You can look across all the trades. It's just a matter of having someone out there pushing it and believing in it. It's a major step in increasing those employment opportunities for our Aboriginal Indigenous people on remote communities. And as I said, and in what we've done here, hopefully it's created that career pathway for the electrical industry, not only in Western Australia, but in the whole of Australia. Now, before I go on to the next slide, yep, am I over? Okay, I just want to read a letter from one of the RCWs who moved from the RCW to the apprentice. It's just a paragraph. I am generally excited about being offered this position as an apprentice Cert 3 distribution line worker. I think the opportunity like this, coming from someone new to the electrical industry, is a challenging role. with many obstacles and hurdles to overcome. I have no doubt, with the correct training and the right people around me, this will be a goal that will be achieved. I look forward to completing my apprenticeship and providing Horizon Power with many years of incident-free productivity. So I'll just chuck up. These are the comments from the 5 RCWs currently in the program. And while you're just having a look at that, I'd like to thank Kununurra and Broome for embracing the program, the ACT program. Connell Wagner, Orican as they're called now, for their willingness to assist, step up to the plate when we first commenced the program. Michael Case, as I thanked before, Oz for the technical support, particularly Bob and John Shearston, and of course my GM Ziggy Wilk and the former MD of Horizon Power, Rod Hayes, for believing in the ACT program. That's it. Thank you.